Good God morning to you wonderful people. If you're over here on the East Coast, especially in Virginia, DC, Maryland, Carolina area, aren't we blessed this morning? That flood storm, that torrential rain, that wind, yeah, it knocked out some of our power, but I don't believe any lives were lost. I'm out. We have a 2-hour delay before I have to go teach the kiddos. So my walk is a little later than normally, but I'm committed to getting the extra weight off on all areas in my body. The physical weight is just the manifestation of the mental and emotional and spiritual weight that I carry on me. And I know that I'm releasing those because I'm able to exercise. When you cannot commit to an exercise regimen, it's not that you're lazy physically. It's that you're emotionally, spiritually, and the thought came and then it moved over because I was looking at all the trash cans. Oh, it's not that you're lazy. It's just that you have some physical and emotional weight that you need to rid yourself of so that the desire to take care of your physical is there. Everything starts first on the inside, and then it works itself and manifests itself through our bodies, through our habits, through our choices. The bottom line is when you fix the inside, everything else falls into place, correcting itself. But the first thing you've got to do is to be able to forgive yourself. Other people forgiving you if you've wronged them, that's great, but they may not. They may not be in the space where they can, but you forgiving yourself, you going to the God of your understanding and saying, please, and sincerely, you know how to pray. If you don't, I'll give you an example of something you can say, because maybe you don't know what to say. You can go to the God of your understanding and you can just say this: help, help. I have no idea how to forgive myself or to stop doing this thing that I'm doing that's destructive. I'm asking for help. I'm asking for guidance. I'm asking for the way out. And I submit and sit with that for a while. That understanding will come. The God of your understanding speaks loudly to you, to the others that follow that path. And if you don't have a path, that's okay too. Just put your hands over your heart and say that same prayer, help. You're going inward and you're getting the help. The guidance has to come, because whatever it is you seek, you will find. Whatever it is you are doing, it will manifest. Once you get to the space where you can forgive yourself, through that space, within that space, and while you're finding that space of forgiveness, you'll see the whys. I know people say that's just an excuse. That's not a reason. No, there are reasons why people do things, and they excusing the behavior is different from finding the reason and dealing with it. So if you know that when you were 10 years old, your father walked out of your life, your mother had a boyfriend that messed over you. So now at 24, not only do you not trust men, but you run through them like you in Grand Central Station. The reason is the abandonment and the turning on of your sexuality. Now, the excuse would be, yeah, I'm doing this because da-da-da, and I'm going to keep doing it. Now you're excusing your behavior. But the reason is valid. You have a reason to why you do some of the things you do, and let nobody tell you that that reason is invalid. Just stop making it an excuse to continue that behavior. So I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about forgiveness and how when people don't forgive you, they think somehow God's keeping you in some cage. And no, once you ask the Creator, by whatever name you choose, for forgiveness, that forgiveness is granted. Now, if you keep going back, you'll be like the Bible says, like a dog returning to its vomit. But if you decide, I forgive myself and I am going to do better. And you make penance to the person or persons that you wronged and they don't accept it. That's on them. They'll get around to it. Sometimes it's because they haven't learned some of the lessons that they need that brought you and your foolishness into their lives. It doesn't mean you're horrible because you do something that you know you shouldn't have done. I mean, that's, we are built. I have 2 young grandsons, and it's wonderful watching from a spiritually aware place them grow up and watching them do things that they know internally they shouldn't do and watching them lie about it. At 2 years old, I've seen my youngest grandson go get something out of the pantry when I told him he couldn't have it. And he goes and gets it, and he goes behind the table. Now, the bag is rattling just as loud, but because he's 2, I guess he feel like her ears don't work. But he literally is behind there trying to open the bag. And I sat there for a second because I wanted to really enjoy this whole experience. So I'm sitting there. I'm going to make it quick. I sat there about 2 minutes because he couldn't get the bag open. Then I go around the corner and I call his name. And he said, huh? And I look in his eyes when he saw me in the cart. And he takes the bag, and I wish I was making this up, y'all, because y'all don't think I am, and throws it behind him. Like I can't see behind him. And I said, come here. What are you doing? Didn't I tell you couldn't have that? Because he's very intelligent. I'm very blessed. I have intelligent children and intelligent grandchildren. And when they were little, they were very communicative and just like my grandchildren, just very, very smart. I'm not saying yours aren't. I'm just bragging on mine. Anywho, so I tell him, pick up that bag and come here. So he reluctantly does it, but he doesn't. He's coming with his head down, y'all, walking to the bag. And then he just puts his arm out and hands me the bag. And then he just stands there and starts crying. I pick him up. I'm hugging him. I didn't yell at him because I want to teach him the proper way to accept your wrong, not yelling and screaming and spanking him for picking up some chips. And I know people do that and they get this because they're frustrated. I'm older, I'm a grandma, but my children, I probably would have snatched the bag, popped their little legs. I told you no, because I know no better, but I know better, so I do better. So I pick him up, rubbing his back, and then I look at him and I tell him, they call me Aura. I said, Aura loves you so very much. But when Aura tells you you can't have something, it's for a reason. Now, he may not understand all of it, but I know he felt the energy of it. Because then he put his head back on me, thought about it for a second, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and then wouldn't let me put him down. I said, no, get down, put these chips back. He did. And then he came, he watched a movie. And maybe about 45 minutes later, he tapped my legs, said, Chip? And I said, yes. And let me tell you why I gave them to him then. Because I wanted him to know, and I wanted him to get inside of him that God gives you your chastisement for what you do. But when you ask for it properly, if it is good for you, God allows you to have it. And if it's not, then God says no, and you have to deal with that. But so that's an example of how you know right from wrong from little. But I wanted to say that to say, so when you do something, you do it from a place of brokenness, and it could hurt other people. When it hurts them, you're not responsible for their reaction. You're not. And I know people want to make you responsible. Well, because she did this, I slapped her. No, you slapped her because you like to hit people. That's why you slapped her. You didn't have a right to put your hands on somebody, but that's what people do. They make excuses like, your action made my reaction. And it's a reaction, but it's an unhealthy one. So when you do that, most times you don't tell yourself, they find out, they're going to react. And I do believe that you should have some mercy and understanding for how to react. But if they react in a way that is harmful for you, get out the way so that they can continue getting it out of them, but you don't have to punish yourself by letting somebody harm you. Once you recognize you're wrong, it is now your duty to do the penance to try to correct it. Most times in relationships, because that's where we do the most wrong with other people. I mean, it's very difficult to do something wrong to somebody who don't care nothing about you. I mean, you're not even around them. So this is very long. I don't even know. It's not going to go on TikTok. I'm gonna have to put it on my YouTube channel because I do think it's really relevant for people, and I'll just guide you over there. If you watch it, great. If you don't, totally understand. But anyway, because I think it's worth me continuing to talk for more than the allotted 10 minutes on TikTok. So you go and you do your penance to them. You ask them to forgive you. And then you follow this script. Because all of the people that will know about this wrong will pick up a big old giant boulder. They ain't even got enough strength to walk around the block. But when they know you done something to someone maybe in their tribe, or they can get up the strength to pick up Mount Everest to hurl it at your ass. When they start to do that, here comes the Creator. Sometimes he comes, she comes, they come, the angels come, and they tell those people, hey, hold off 1 second. And then you go to the Bible, and Jesus is the parable with this, but I think it's on a bigger level and talking to all of this. The woman was standing at the well, and all those people were standing around. She's in her shame. She got her head down. She's in her shame because she has committed adultery and some other sins. The Bible is kind of vague, but when you read with understanding, sometimes God gives you what was going on so that for your information, he may give somebody else, or she may give somebody else a different interpretation. But the story with the people gathering around while this woman is at the well representing water. So she's at that well. Ask yourself, why is she at the water? She was trying to cleanse herself. She was so sorry, so ashamed of herself. So she was at that well. Here comes good old Jesus, mighty King Jesus. He sees all those people. And because I know Jesus was born in Nazareth, and that's a place where all the brothers and the sisters was born that look like me, I know he had some swag. So he walked up, yo, what's going on up here? And she did this and she did that. I mean, they just talking, women and men. Oh, she's over there looking shame, head down, afraid to speak. And they said, well, what y'all about to do? Jesus said, what you about to do? Well, we're going to stone her. We're going to throw all these rocks at her until we kill her. Because we got to kill this woman for all the stuff that she's done. And Jesus said, okay, well, all y'all pick up your rock. And I think the woman, she accepted her punishment because she bowed her head even more as if to prepare for her death. And then Jesus looked at them and said, but, hold up. The person who has not done anything, you haven't committed adultery, you haven't lied, you haven't cheated, you haven't stolen, you haven't beat somebody up, you haven't just did wrong to your children, you haven't showed up in life in a way that is disgraceful. You throw it first. One by one, those rocks got put down because every last one of them had done something. And then Jesus said, y'all get on from around here. They went on back. Notice that Jesus didn't say to them, to all of those people, he didn't say to them, tell you what, y'all go and sin no more. Now that you know this, he said, let ye who has not sinned cast the first stone. They couldn't do it. He left them alone because he realized that they were just a bunch of people who wanted to judge and be Judge Judy. So he walked on over to that woman. She still got her head down, shamed, and in my heart, I feel she was naked, no clothes on. I believe she was caught in the act of adultery, understanding that she was shaming herself because whatever got her to do that. But where was that man she was committing adultery with? She damn sure wasn't masturbating. She had somebody with her, but he wasn't there. All right, so let's get back. Jesus walking down there, and he sees her, and he talked to her. She probably told him everything. I mean, tears probably was there with snot and everything else. Understand also, Jesus wasn't a slimy man who said, check this out. You ain't got no clothes on. You're making my nature rise. Like a lot of people do when somebody comes to them in their innocence. They take advantage of it. Lots of times you find out pastors and ministers that have a woman come to them. I was once talking to someone in a prominent position in my religion because my marriage was in a bad space. And this mother jumper hit on me. And my vulnerability In my pain, he took that as an opportunity to tell me how beautiful I was and how any man that had me would never mistreat me. And he would like the opportunity to take me out. Now this nigga, you got a whole wife and family. And this is how you want to talk to me, and then some other things I'm not going to say that he said, but he said, well, I, being the wise and woman and I'm just not a cheater. I just decided, this ain't gonna work. And I got on off the phone. Went on to try to figure out myself, how the hell am I gonna help myself out of this situation? And I just went to God. But anyway, back to Jesus and walking down there and not taking advantage of that woman's nakedness, because Jesus is a natural man, and you see what a body look like. According to y'all, he created that body because he's God himself, so he know what to do. He know the pleasure he put in it. He just don't have that in his heart to do to someone. So he's talking to her, and she's spilling out her shame. And when her shame gets all the way out, Jesus looks at her and he said, you have been forgiven. Now go and sin no more. You see that? So when you do something, I said all of that because I like the theatrical, dramatic part of it. But I said all of that to say, God has forgiven you for what you've done when you ask forgiveness, even if it's murder. And even though we want to look at you and be like, God don't forgive murder. According to the Bible, if I steal an apple, I'm the same as a murderer. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I get the principle of it. The principle of it is a deviation from right. And that stealing of an apple, if I keep getting away with stealing apples, I'm going to keep upping the ante until one day I stole somebody like it. That's, I think, the parable. That's what I think the parable is trying to get us to understand. That it's not that God is unfair and unjust and grouping us all in the bag, but sinning begets more sin. And until you get to the place. And that's why if you nip it at the bud, and I know people say things like, once a cheater, always a cheater. Those are the people who don't know God. Those are the people who pick up stones at the top of the well, just cast them at people because they've decided. But those are also the people that's been cheating. So they're really talking to themselves. They're saying, well, I did it, and I'm going to keep on doing it, so you're going to do the same thing. Instead of offering people guidance and support, especially in this world where everything titillates our sexuality, every little thing. We even got it in cartoons. I was looking at a cartoon with my grandson. It was Toy Story. And the little Southern Belle girl takes her cane, puts it around Woody's neck, and pulls him in close to her. Why? They cartoons. First of all, y'all dolls. Why y'all even, y'all ain't even got nowhere to put nothing. But they're doing that because that's the way to keep us in our sexuality so that we continue to perpetrate foolishness. Now, I'm not a therapist, but I am a wise woman by God's grace. If you are in a relationship and your partner steps out on you, you don't necessarily have to say, get out, goodbye, I'm done with you. If you love that person, perhaps separation is needed until both of you can figure out how this came about and deal and heal it so that you and that partner can come back stronger, because no matter who you're with, they are going to do something that's going to make you want to beat the shit out of them, that's going to make you angry as hell, because we are humans having a physical, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and with that humanness comes a lot. So I said all of this in these last 18 minutes to tell you, forgive yourself, forgive others. Ask God to soften the hearts of those that you have harmed. And perhaps they'll come back into your life. They're healed, you're healed, and it's a better situation. Good morning. Perhaps they will not. Perhaps they will decide that you are not good for them. And that's okay. Someone else will come along. And if they forgive you from a pure space, they will be all the better. And if you forgive yourself from a pure space, you will be all the better. But the bottom line is, we all do stuff that's self-sabotaging. And the most precious gift you can have is getting caught at it. Because once you get caught at it and it's in your face, you have two choices. Continue doing it and making excuses for the reasons why it's there, or deal with it, understanding that all healing starts with pain. Heal yourself And perhaps the person that you harmed will forgive you and allow you back in their life in an even better space than you were before, because now y'all got some truth. Or they will not. But you're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. The things that you do to harm others, you did it. Look at yourself and figure out why, and then deal with it. But don't stay there. Ask them for forgiveness one time. Don't keep begging them, because truthfully, that's not who can give you the forgiveness. But God can. That's the person you wronged, and you can try to do your penance. But they may be too human to forgive. So you're going to sit there begging them to forgive you 15, 11, 100 times while they just telling you they ain't and throwing stones at you, and you just letting them. That's also showing that you don't have any self-worth. When you can, I know you say, well, I hurt them, and so they have a right to be angry. They do. They have a right to be angry. They have a right to move on. What they don't have a right to do is to play God and to continue to try to punish you for what you did to them. Because in reality, we've all sinned. And karma finds us, and it may not be in the same way we sent it out. And this is a conversation most people don't want to have when something happens through them. Did this result from a karmic betrayal that you did with somebody else? Maybe not on the same level, because you're not perfect. I'm not saying that means, oh, blame the victim. No, because I don't believe that there's anything as victims in life over the age of 12. Now, somebody under 12, they're a victim because they can't really get away, actually under the age of 18, because where they gonna go? So that's a victim. But when you're an adult, you're not a victim. Somebody may do something to you, but you're not their victim. You are their target, but you can get out of that. Move yourself out of the target zone. I hope that this message, if it was a good one, gets heard by the people who need to hear it. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But understanding that love is the answer to everything we have. Love and forgiveness. If you can keep love and forgiveness in your heart, it doesn't make you a punk. It actually makes you your superpower. Because when you can love and forgive, you can see clearer. Because when you love and forgive someone, it's the last one I'm going to say, you'll know if they're coming from a pure space because you're coming from a pure space. So they can't really harm you because you're in this pure space. And if they're not, well, God move their little motherfuckers on out the way. God is that powerful. Stop doubting God and what God can do. Ask God, why did this come into my life? Why did you allow this in my life? God will talk to you. God will let you know. If you sit with God long enough, not your friends, not your family, that's all damaged, because that's what we do. I know that's what I did. Go talk to damaged people telling you what to do. And half of them don't even do what they tell you to do. Go on the internet and let people tell you, yeah, don't do this and don't take her back. And she for the streets, he for the streets. Let them do all of that talking while they wait for you to put that person on the street that they know they got a lot of good qualities, and they shunk on down and say, hey, I know he or she, you know, they didn't appreciate you. Yeah, you did that, but let's try this out, because they recognize that that person has some good in them, and that's what they want. Anywho, light, love, and joy to all of us. Bye.